Well done, Bimo. Welcome to Tea in Transit. Tuesday, October 10th, 8:34 a.m. in Maui, Hawaii, and we are in the third line of this transit. Gate 57, which is in the spleen. Line 3, acuteness. The perfected intelligence where clarity emanates doubt or eliminates doubt and ensures manifestation. The possibility of perfected intuition. No polarity. Emanates and eliminates are two very different E words. And the I Ching is
right there.
Aha. Haven't been reading the I Ching. It's not the same.
What's the I Ching will say? No.
I haven't been doing tea either.
No?
Not the same. I mean, we're doing tea, but not like we having tea and reading the transits.
Right.
You know?
Tea pod.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. So Luke just got back from Sacred Stones Convergence 8.
Return.
Let's go, baby.
250 man energy.
Yeah.
A lot of good bros, though.
Wonderful.
Good connections. Glad to be back with my favorite bro, Coco.
Oh.
Let's see here. So we got 9 in the third place means repeated penetration, humiliation. Penetrating reflection must not be pushed too far, lest it cripple the power of decision. After a matter has been thoroughly pondered, it is essential to form a decision and to act. Repeated deliberation brings fresh doubts and scruples, and thereby humiliation, because one shows up unable to act. So it's like not taking the time to deliberate and ponder upon the action before making the action over and over again. That's kind of what I'm getting out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfected intuition.
Yeah.
So really, with the spleen being what it is, it's like lightning quick. It's what's a lightning bolt, right? And so, like the splenic awareness to not act as opposed to act, ultimately can be muddied by the mind. Right, and this is part of that like integration circuit as well.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, the integration circuit.
And it says there's no polarity and no planet in detriment. There's no polarity for this line.
Yeah, this one just says humiliation, which makes me feel like it's like either humbleness or being humiliated.
That's usually
By figuring it.
the polarity, huh?
Yeah.
Humility or humiliation. Humility over humiliation. That'd be a good shirt.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's it. I feel like this transit has been so much more focused on the 51, just because of like what's going on in the world. It's much easier to see the 51 kind of manifesting as opposed to the 57. Perfected intelligence, where clarity eliminates doubt and ensures manifestation. Which again, like if this is transit. So if this is how you're feeling today, not to say don't trust that, but don't trust that. That's transit. That may be true for others that have this gate defined, but not necessarily so for you. Always come back to strategy and authority, right? Okay, so gate 51, this is the earth. Line 3 is adaptation, the life-sustaining awareness that thinks on its feet and thus creates opportunities, the power of spontaneity in times of challenge. That was the exaltation. This is the detriment, the destabilization that occurs when one's field of normal activity is radically and unprecedentedly disturbed, where the tendency is to withdraw rather than adapt. The ego that may be destabilized in times of challenge. So again, we're observing that what the shock does to you and what your relationship to that shock is. Is it in its exalted form, or it's this form where it's spontaneity increases the stability through adaptation, or does it shake you, right? Does it shake the ego in the times of challenge is really the again, the polarity, which shock, you can think of it like shock has to move through your body in order to be felt, right? Like if you jump and grab a wire because there's no grounding, it doesn't really shock you. So for me, I'm thinking like knowing what times to jump and then knowing what times to let go of the wire before you hit the ground again. But then it's also like shocking in the sense that, there's like this whole world thing that's going on in Israel is shocking me quite a bit, not to the point where I feel like it's destabilized me, but it's been debilitating in certain moments and certain times for me, just because of how the foreshadowing of this event is scary as fuck.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting to think about shock and how that's relevant to like where I'm coming from, Convergence, and how a lot of these guys that show up, it's like they're going to be in shock going back home of like not having that potency of like connection and brotherhood there right in the forefront of their hands. So like how to like sit with that and not let it shake the ego like this is talking about in line 3. And just like coming back to oneself. Because I know when I first started going to the events, it was like go home and be like, well, now what am I going to do with my life?
Who's
like,
gonna hug me for 14 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah. And just seeing, I told Marco about this, like a brother from Palestine and a brother from Israel standing face to face and like talking about their experiences and sharing with each other. And like what I see is like it's like a pillar of recognition. Like, hey, I see you. I feel for your family. I feel for my family too. And I know one's for sure going back to Israel, and he's like, I gotta go home and take care of my family first. But we're here now to like act as like a pillar of like we don't have to fight. Like we can come together and be in arms together rather than be at war with each other or be like, oh, look at this guy. He's from fucking Palestine. His country's fucked up my country. It's like beyond all of that, we're all part of the same human race. And how can we come together in times like these instead of continue to fight and be at war?
Right. Yeah, I was saying yesterday how like I can't. It's been hard for me to kind of like focus and do my normal work, and so it's been causing me to like be outside a lot more and planting. And you saw me like scraping this area right here. That's something that it's not necessarily human design based, but any of the like processing fear, anxiety, and nervousness in each of the 3 awareness centers, when I can't seem to process them with my normal ways, for me, one of the more abnormal ways is to like take it out and plant it. Right. But that's been kind of my little refuge in this wild time. So
plant a seed.
Yeah. Did you read this yet?
Nope.
Let's do that.
So 6 in the 3rd place means shock comes and makes one distraught. If shock spurs to action, one remains free of misfortune. There are 3 kinds of shock: the shock of heaven, which is thunder, the shock of fate, and finally the shock of the heart. The present hexagram refers less to the inner shock than to the shock of fate. In such times of shock, presence of mind is all too easily lost. The individual overlooks all opportunities for action and mutely lets fate take its course. But if he allows the shocks of fate to induce movement within his mind, he will overcome these external blows with little effort. Yeah. Not letting the shock disable oneself, myself, whoever it may be, and to continue to have like a stableness and a groundness to go out and plant a new seed, like keep prospering, keep moving forward. Yeah, take the shock and spur it to action. Let it move you forward.
Right, and this is a part 2 of like the initiation, the channel of initiation, which this gate is a part of, being one that is able to merge shock and innocence, or a sense of purity, and exactly redirect them like a firebender.
So it's gotta be this one, bro. Fucking Zuko or Zuko,
Yeah,
or
bro.
what's the guy's name in Korra? The firebender that does the redirection of lightning when like the whole that building is collapsing when they're trying to stop. Oh,
Is it
it's
Mako?
been a couple months. Yeah, no, his brother Mako. Yeah,
Mako is the firebender in that
right.
one.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
his brother is
Bolid.
Earthbending. Bolin. Yeah,
That's his name.
yeah, Mako.
That's a good one.
Mako would be a good
There we go.
representation of the Gator Shock.
Yes, exactly. I'm actually creating those forms right now.
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm a little behind on that.
Mako, Zuko, and then definitely Iroh as well. All three of them are worthy contenders. Yeah, well, Kung Fu, baby. You know what it is. All of that, those two shows exemplify what the martial arts of Kung Fu, what it would look like if we were actually moving those elements. Really, it's moving the elements within ourselves. Uh, Tai Chi, water, Xingyi, which is lightning, and yeah, we all need that ish in our lives, for real. And so on and so forth. Bakwa being the airbenders moving like a tornado. I think about Aang spinning on that ball a lot, which is Bakwa like moving in a circle. Um, yeah, and like Wall Mountain Fist emanating the earth element, being able to pick up a boulder and just like I love Avatar.
I know. I'm like, I need more.
Yeah,
Which they're creating more.
2024.
They're creating more, which is amazing.
I think a movie first.
They're making a movie first?
I think so.
That's pretty exciting. All right, well, I've done it, guys.
It has been done.
I've,
Oh, a series? Yeah, it's supposed to be like the in-between, right? Of like between like when Aang and all the gang all grows up, becomes adults, and they build the city. Oh, it's the next Avatar. Okay.
the Earthbender. Yeah, I think
That's tight.
my understanding is that they were doing 2 series.
Yeah, or a series and a movie or something. I don't know.
They're doing a lot, which is really exciting.
Fully.
Yep. Thankfully, they're doing a lot. Good. It's important to have, you know, allegories and media and stuff, and that's one thing that will never, I hopefully will never disappear. Is you know, art.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once we start a war on art and diversity, and we get to that like equilibrium level.
Yeah.
Shenanigans. Well, again, this one's been a very like sensitive transit. So, and I've noticed there's like some realer stuff coming forward in the chats, which I love so much.
Mm.
Questions around like I think Bubbles was asking yesterday in a general chat something along the lines of like, I'm afraid of being confident because I'm afraid that I'll come off as cocky. And that's something that I've felt a lot in my life. And really, it's only the people that, not only the people, because there's definitely like conceit and vanity and then that energy. But it's one of these things that whoever it is that's calling you conceited, consider that this person is trying to enable your not self and trying to enable your not self strategies and your not self theme in order to keep themselves in a position of power or something of the other in that vein.
And it's important to take up space.
Yeah.
Be confident. Be sure of yourself, and also be willing to be corrected when it's when maybe you're not right or you've been in the wrong in those times too.
Yeah, and I love that too. It's like if you have the right people around you, they'll check you when your confidence is starting to become conceit, and hopefully that you have those people around. Hopefully you listen. Is really what it turns into.
Mm-hmm.
thinking about all the characters in my life. So I'm like, well, you didn't listen to me. I told you this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I told you this was happening. And now it's like too late to really do anything about it. Anyway.
That too. In my life, especially when I was little, I had scarcity of people viewing me as weird or annoying.
That is normal. Again, it's like I keep coming back to these like scenes in movies, which is why I love this that form in particular is like when Neo is walking with Morpheus and he's like, we're in the Matrix, and Morpheus is like, everyone that's plugged in will fight to defend the system. And that's true as it is in the Matrix as it is now, in the sense that people will fight to keep you from elevating or deviating too far from however it is that you've trained them to see you, or that you've revealed yourself to them, right? Because that's what the mind wants to do. It wants to take things that it has to work at consciously and just pass it on to the subconscious so that it can work on new stuff. And same thing with driving. It's like in the beginning, it's all hands and feet and checking lanes and mirrors. But eventually now it's like you can text while you drive because your subconscious, your unconscious self is driving you and driving the vehicle. And that's a point that, you know, when we're in relationship with people, whatever it is we choose to reveal to them, in terms of the standards we have, like if they disrespect you and you don't say anything, you're revealing this version of yourself that is willing to tolerate that level of disrespect, or even to tolerate the ignorance. Like it's usually not malicious on their part. It's usually ignorance on their part. And but if you only reveal these certain parts of yourself, you know, they'll see a deviation from those parts of yourself as a, hey, you're not being true to yourself. Why are you being so cocky? When it's actually like, if you're following your strategy and authority, you might bring online a little bit more of what they may view as cocky or what you have viewed as cocky before. But again, it's like they're going to fight to preserve whatever they think is normal, right? Most people will do that. And so, you know, it's important to be true to yourself. That's it. It's so important to be true to yourself and also to experiment, because regardless of how fixed you are, like Luke over here is fully defined, right? There's always new ways in which that definition is going to show up in the world, you know, and the things that are consistent can be consistent. But it's the same way how it's like if you take your phone into, you know, a big, large room and you play something from your phone, it's going to sound different than if you're in a small room because the acoustics of the environment are different, which will also be different if there are people in the room dancing or talking, right? Like a place where you have a lot of definition and influence might be minimized in somebody else's arena where they have a lot more definition and influence, right? And so it's really about how does my my circuitry fit in with this, and that is so much of the mind's job, is to see, oh, I fit in here, I don't fit in here. And you know, I talk a lot about strengthening the inner authority to kind of overcome the mind's stranglehold on manipulating the inner authority. But really, they have to work in harmony together, right? It's like you have to know where you belong, but then you also have to be able to recognize where you're at, recognize you don't belong there, and not necessarily lose your sense of self just because you don't belong in a certain situation.
Yeah, I could relate to that because I feel like with having full definition, do really good in like one-on-one or like small group settings, like 3 to 4 people. As soon as it comes to like big groups, like thinking about being in the sanctuary at Convergence, and it's just like I'm gonna just sit in the corner and be quiet and observe,
Right.
allow all the energy to just like flow around and not be like, well, why am I not connecting with anyone? Why am I not talking to anybody?
Right.
Like it's like old not self of me that would be like freaking out.
Am I not cool enough? Do I not
Who
belong
am
here?
I?
Am I
Yeah.
not worthy?
Who am I? Like, why can't I make friends in these situations? And it's like, no, I don't need to. I can just sit here and be me.
Yeah.
And then that attracts people who are like, who are you? What are you doing?
And he's like, I'm just sitting down.
I'm meditating.
I'm meditating.
The big rogue ceremony.
I love that. Vibe attracts the vibe. And yeah, and that's the you know, I think that the deeper core message around human design that we're learning that I'm learning and that I'm seeing kind of unfold is, they're timeless lessons. It's like patience. It's just, it keeps coming back to like patience. Like, in a way, so much of suffering can be completely bypassed and avoided. It doesn't need to happen if one can cultivate the patience to see what something that is, as opposed to remaining from this like top down energy, this paradigm. This is what I think it is, so that's what it has to be. Narrative, pattern, whatever it is. Because it's actually really fun. Like, since I've found my piece where I fit really well, and my inner authority is just super happy. Going to a place where I don't have authority, and going to a place where it doesn't match my inner authority is sometimes actually really fun.
What's a good example of that?
Like a party where there's like maybe heavier drug use than I would want to be happening, in my friend circle, and not to say that like I like that kind of stuff, but it's a contrast for me. Even just like leaving home is a good contrast for me. Sometimes we'll leave home for hours at a time, and it just makes me miss home, or appreciate home, not necessarily miss as much. Sometimes I am out and I do miss home.
Yeah.
But again, just one of those pieces where it's like, again, human design is not the way. It's simply a lens so that you can find your way. And the beauty about this lens, right, is it's just like an RPG. It's like, I can't wait for this future. I just watched Cyberpunk 2. One of these days I had like no energy to do anything, so I just watched this anime Cyberpunk, and there's so much technology that's going to amplify our abilities to see stuff and gather data, which ultimately is going to strengthen the mind, which is great, because if your mind gets stronger, then your inner authority has an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily get stronger as the mind gets stronger. Usually it works the opposite way. Your mind gets stronger and your inner authority gets weaker. But if you have awareness of both of them, then you can like do this like little ladder climbing thing. Very important. Well, big love to you guys. Got to get on with the rest of the day. Thanks for joining us for the Tea and Transits. Welcome back, Luke.
Yay.
And we will see you tomorrow for line 4. Peace,
Opportunities.
guys.
Love you. Bye.